All right, what is up, everybody? Shell Scout 0013 here, coming in with a news report. I know I'm a few days late. I came out with one on Tuesday, but I didn't really like it. So I didn't want to post it, and I figured I would just come out with a different one. And yeah, so we did get Mando. Mando, all of his cards have dropped, all the upgrades, and Grogu's card have, dropped. And I'm going to kind of talk about it, kind of go over some like strategies, maybe ways to do it, and or at least a list or two, especially one in Empire, maybe one in Rebels, kind of see how that goes and just kind of see what he'd be kind of fun and good at. So go ahead and like and subscribe. I've kind of been talking about other stuff and completely forget all the time to, you know, ask you to, it'd be awesome if you guys could, like and subscribe. It would help grow the channel and get more people to see these things, and then hopefully create greater discussions on, everything surrounding Star Wars Legion. So if you haven't already, then go ahead, in the link down below, you can go over to the Discord and kind of again look at the different things that we were talking about and thinking, and just kind of seeing what you guys want to do. And if you have any questions about lists, you can ask them. If you have rule questions, if you want to game, feel free, go ahead and join in. And then if you want, go ahead and head to thepernacademy.com and go ahead and subscribe for 15 bucks a month to get everything you see here, along with that new 30-minute torture program that I had, which involves 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days that are all 30-minute long workouts. And yeah, so plenty of stuff for you to do and ways to keep up. So let's go ahead and go over Din. So he's got Arsenal 2, just super fantastic. So while attacking, each minion in the unit can use 2 of its weapons. Basically, Din's going to be able to use 2 of his weapons at a time that are all eligible. Bounty, so finally Rebels, because Din can play in Empire and Rebels. Bounty is finally here for Rebels, and this is great news, because now, besides Secret Mission, you can do Bounty. Now, it'd be really fun to do Bounty and Secret Mission all in the same list. I'm sure there's ways to do it, but yeah, that'd be really cool. Impervious, so when defending against an attack bolt that has Pierce, you can add additional defense dice to whatever the Pierce number is. Independent, so after the start of the activation phase, if you don't have an order token, you can gain an aim and a dodge, which is really, really nice. So you're kind of not wanting to give him orders, but his order card or his command cards are just fantastic. And they're still going, for the most part, at least 2 of them are going to give you a token. And then with tactical 1, you're always going to be able to hopefully be able to move and generate that aim. So it's going to be okay if you do give him a command from an order, I should say, from his command cards. He's going to have 5 health, 3 courage, which is really cool. So he's not going to panic easily. Still a good possible chance. He's got red defense dice with the surge to defense, and then he surges to crit, which is awesome. And then he's got a range 1 to 2 gun, his IB94 pistol with 2 red and a black, lethal 1, long shot 1. So you can spin an aim to make it pierce, and then spin an aim to make it long shot. And yeah, and then lethal on his vibro knife is really, really nice. So anytime you would move, you'd be able to get that aim to be able to spend it for a pierce 1 with 2 black, surge and crit. Awesome. And then all the upgrades are possible. He's 105 points base. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do to make him very expensive. I'm coming out to like maybe even 149 sometimes, but yeah, I'll explain. So here are some of his upgrade cards that you can have attached to him. Now he does have 2 gear slots, and these are 2 gears that you can bring on him specifically for him. And I definitely would. The training slots, I'll explain what I kind of would go over with training, because if we're looking at all the attachments that we can bring to him, and then he's got 2 weapons, but he can only carry 1, and I'll talk about it. But if you look at least everything here, for the most part, he wants to be in melee. He's a melee close range character. So in my opinion, I'm going to usually equip him with maybe tenacity, because if he's going to be in melee quite a lot, maybe gaining an extra red dice with his vibro knife, and then combining it with the either Amban rifle or the Beskar spear, depending on what you want to do. And then I think the Amban rifle is a little bit better, but I'll explain why. And it might not be better. It just kind of depends on how your play style is, and if you want that pierce a lot. So let's look at the Mando's jetpack. It's going to be able to increase his speed by 1 to 3. So he's going to be speed 3 and jump 2, just like every other Mando, which is awesome because now you're going to be able to get him into melee much, much faster. And then with one of his command cards down here with This Is the Way, he's going to gain Relentless. So that's going to be one really nice card and way to get him maybe into melee with another character, or hopefully at least in range 1 or maybe 2 of another character. And then maybe you can either do Whistling Birds on the next turn, and or I like those odds afterwards. That's kind of like, what you're trying to do with him back to back to back. Let's look at his second gear slot. So Din's Flame Projector. It has 1 red, range, melee to range 1. It's blast, so you're going to ignore cover. It's spray, so you're adding a red dice for each mini in the defending unit where your line of sight is not blocked. So if maybe you can't see one period at all, you're not adding in a dice for that mini. And then it is suppressive, so you're going to be able to gain an extra, suppression, especially if you use the range. That'll be really, really nice. And then there's a command card that allows us to attack twice, and I'll kind of go over that in a little bit, where maybe if you are in range 1, this would be really nice to combine with his pistol. Because, I'll explain later. So let's look at his weapon. Sorry, guys, I keep wanting to explain even more and more all the time. But let's just take a look real quick. So the Beskar Spear, you're going to gain Duelist. So when performing a melee, if you spend an aim, you gain Pierce. While defending against a melee, if you spend a dodge, you gain Immune to Pierce. So he already has Impervious, which is really good because it's going to be able to allow him to roll extra defense dice for the Pierce. Okay. Now, if you do spend the dodge while you're carrying this, you don't have to roll for the Indomitable because Pierce is just negated. So that's cool, but that's just an extra buffer to him. And if he already has one, I like the Amban Rifle, and I'll explain why, but let's keep going with the spear. With the spending an aim to gain Pierce. So he does have lethal and melee here and Pierce here. I don't quite know if it's Pierce 2. I don't quite know if it's going to be just Pierce 1. I would assume that it would be Pierce 2, but I'm not exactly sure. And you'd probably have to spend 2 aims to be able to get Pierce 2. Because one, you're spending an aim for Duelist, and then I think the other one, you're spending an aim for lethal. But I'm not exactly sure at that point because you're spending an aim probably to re-roll. But it just kind of depends. I don't know if it's the same turn or not. So yeah. Okay. So, but you're getting 2 red and a black. And that's really, besides Duelist, that's really all you're gaining. So if you do have Tenacity on him, that would be 3 red and 3 black in melee if he has a wound. And then hopefully, if you get that dodge, you're going to be able to gain, Immune to Pierce. But I think the Amban Rifle is going to be way better, in my opinion. And let me explain why. So it does, even though it has 3 black, you're still surging to crit. So there's that. And then if you have Tenacity, you're still rolling 6 dice because you're getting an extra red adding to the pool. So your red can be added to either Amban Rifle or the Fiber Knife, but it really doesn't matter because you're combining the deck pool. You're gaining Immobilize too and Suppressive. So, Jedis are already immune to Pierce. There's most things that you want that, Din's going to go after that already have immune to Pierce. So I don't think that the Beskar Spear is going to do as much damage as the Amban Rifle because it's going to be Immobilized 2 in melee and Suppressive. So you're going to be you're going to be making sure that your opponent can't move and then give them a suppression token as well in melee. And then you already have lethal 1, so you already can gain Pierce. And then it also provides you with a ranged attack, even though it's not an attack. It's 2 actions to perform an attack, but technically it's not an attack. So I think that the Amban Rifle for 10 points is going to be way better than a 15-point spear that is only can be used in melee. This one, you can spend both moves to at least do a speed 1 or 2 actions to do a speed 1 move and do a ranged attack. And they can't spend a dodge to negate it. You have to roll a hit or a crit with a red dice, but they can't spend a dodge. They can't do low profile. That they can't roll at all. It's just a wound and a suppression, which is really, really nice that you can't do with the Beskar Spear. And that's only 10 points. So in my opinion, the Amban rifle should be on him, along with the, if you don't want a weapon, that's fine. It would make him a lot cheaper. But in my opinion, you might as well bring this because it's going to make him much better at ranged and in melee. And then his jetpack rocket's just going to be able to get him into melee much, much faster. The Immobilize 2 is going to be great against force users. You already have Impervious. So if someone's going with Pierce against you, you can at least roll more dice. So I think that, again, the Amban rifle is much more powerful and better than the Beskar Spear. That's just in my opinion. And then the Flame Projector, I like having an extra ranged attack, so it's not just melee. So let's kind of, before we go over Grogu, I want to kind of look at his command cards. And I really love the art for these. It's really, really nice, especially on this 1 pip. And now, again, like how simple kind of they are. So this is the way. 1 pip, he's going to gain a dodge. So you're getting rid of the independent, the aim 1, dodge 1. But when you give him this, you're still giving him a dodge. He doesn't get the aim, but he's got relentless. So every time he makes a move, he's got tactical 1. So he's going to move, he's going to get an aim. So you already have what you would have started with if you didn't have an order. Then maybe you make a second move, give yourself a second aim, and you already have a dodge. So it's just like you didn't give yourself an order, but you're able to go first. And then you can relentless and do your arsenal too. And, you know, not that you're going to have a much many ranged attack weapons, but at least you can shoot your pistol. And then you'd have 2 aims. That way you can make it long shot and you can make it lethal or re-roll. So either or is really, really, really nice. And then I like those odds. So Din's going to gain an aim. And so instead of the aim and dodge, he's at least gaining the aim. And then after he performs an attack action, he can perform an additional attack action against a different unit. So basically, Gunslinger, he's basically going to be able to do his melee with Arsenal 2, and then make a ranged attack at range 1 to 2, maybe 3, because you're going to get an aim, and maybe you took another aim. And yeah, it's the flamethrower is what I'm trying to think of. So if you are at least hopefully in range 1 of something else, you can do your Arsenal 2 twice. You'd be able to melee with maybe the Amban rifle and the Vibro knife with your tenacity, and then make a ranged 1 shot with your flame projector and your modified pistol, again, making it possible to have a flame projector that has pierce because of the lethal 1 and because of the combination. So if you can get in that range 1 of him or of enemies and use his 2 pip, it's going to be crazy. So because it's just after he performs an attack, he may perform an additional attack against a different unit. So yeah. So let's look at his 3 pip. No, so I don't know if it's necessarily Gunslinger or if you have to take both of your actions, because it doesn't say free. It just says you can perform another attack action. So you're probably going to gain an aim and then you can attack and then attack. You're probably not going to be able to do an action and then attack. You probably have to attack and then attack as both of your actions. And then Whistling Birds, probably the best one of his cards, and obviously the one everyone's excited about. So during his activation, he can gain as an action. So this is going to take an action to choose up to 3 enemy units at range 1 and in line of sight. So for each chosen unit, roll 1 attack dice for each mini in the unit. And then that unit's going to suffer a wound for any paint result. Okay. So that's super, super nice. So maybe he gets in the next turn and there's a cluster of clones or droids. And this is going to be good against droids because then maybe if there's 6 minis in that unit, you're going to get to roll 6 white dice and hope for some paint results, and they can't dodge or do anything like that. So that would be this card is so nice. So yeah, that is kind of just talking about a little bit about him. Now Grogu, let's kind of take a look at this. I wouldn't say asset, I would say hindrance, but yeah. So he's the counterpart to Din, so you have to have Din in order to take him. He's going to have hunted, so when Grogu is defeated, replace this mini with an unclaimed the asset objective token. So Grogu may never be restored. So even if you try to heal Din after Grogu has been taken out, so what would happen is Din's got 5 hit points. You would, lose all of your hit points. You'd have 1 hit point left on Din, and then the next shot or wound that goes through would go on Grogu, and then the last one would go on Din. As far as I'm aware, that's probably how it would be wind up going. So then if Din's left with 1 hit point and you still try to heal him, you're not bringing back Grogu. You're just, I don't know why I can't say his name. You're just giving him an extra hit point left. Then you could at least claim the asset yourself, but you're not going to gain anything from it. You're just preventing your opponent from being able to gain a victory token if they claim the asset. So this is more of a liability big time than it is anything that's going to help you. So latent power is kind of one reason why someone might want it, and or his command card, which is not a command card, but a command card, and I'll explain. So latent power, at the end of your activation, you can gain a suppression token to roll a red defense dice. So on a surge, you can choose an enemy unit at range 1 of Grogu, and then that unit's going to gain 2 suppression and 2 immobilized tokens. On a blank result, which is kind of like a 50-50 chance, you're going to remove a wound or poison token from a friendly non-droid trooper unit at range 1 of the mini. Okay. And then, so that range of that mini would be, Dan himself. So he'd be able to remove a wound or poison token. I don't know why I can't say that either. And he's small, so he can't be targeted for an attack. So you can't use him to measure distance or anything like that, but you can base him to still get into melee with Din. So you still want to kind of keep him, hidden and or back a little, but you can also do, some sort of ranges off of him as well. So the hand thing, Grogu's 2-pip. So this card cannot be selected during the command phase. So you're kind of wasting a 2-pip slot to be able to play in the beginning of the round for a possibility of protecting somebody, giving them 2 dodges and deflect. So when a friendly unit at range 1 and in line of sight of Grogu himself is declared as a defender against a ranged attack, you can discard this card from your hand, and if you do, the defending unit gains 2 dodge tokens and gains deflect. So this is going to be very, very beneficial against units that, obviously don't have any kind of surge to defense. So Wookiees, if you're able to combine this with Wookiees, this would be great to kind of give them deflect and some dodges, or obviously even better, red dice saves without surging, because then it would give them the surge along with deflect, which would be really, 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 really nice. But this is so situational that it's so hard to justify bringing Grogu for this card and giving up a 2-pip slot. And then I don't think you can bring this in for your contingencies, because you can't just use your contingencies out of nowhere. And this can't be played during the command card phase. So you wouldn't be able to play this and then replace it with a contingency because you can't select it during the command phase. So it's kind of really, really hard to justify bringing. But yeah, that is mostly it for kind of like the news and him himself. I think he's going to be a great unit to get into melee with. And so I created a 10-act list with Boba Fett and Din and some pikes. So it's 10 activations. Everything is practically stacked on here. So I have an Imperial officer with underworld connections to be able to bring 2 operatives, along with electric binoculars for the spotter 2, and hopefully the Inspire as a support unit for the shore troopers and the mortar. So the shore troopers both are going to have a T-21B heavy and targeting scopes if you want. And then I'm bringing a medical droid to make sure that Din and or Boba Fett can stay alive as much as possible, because Boba Fett and Din both have only 5 hit points and 3 courage. So you're really going to want to keep them alive. And then I have the Pike Syndicate Capo with Vigilance, and then the Pike Foot Soldiers, because I don't have another commander that is from the Shadow Collective or anything like that. And then I can bring 2 of the Pike Core. So I've got them. So the whole point of this one is to just generate as many tokens as possible. So basically what I'm trying to do is independent on Boba, independent on Din, independent on the Pikes, and then target 1 on the shore. So when you do give them an order, they're going to gain a name. And then everyone else, since you didn't give them an order, is going to gain something, except your Imperial officer. And then your Imperial officer can hopefully spotter the mortars or the pikes or the shores, whoever you need. Okay, it's 10 activations. Now, what I had done before is I took off targeting scopes and the medical droid, and then just decked the heck out of the pike foot soldiers with the capo to give them the independent surge the independent surge. So they'll have independent dodge and independent surge, giving them that extra, thing they need for the range 1 to 4, impact 1, and then the T21s are range 1 to 4, critical 1. And then, like I said, they're all able to generate tokens with or without an order. And yeah, you've got your double bounty with Boba and Din. So command card wise, what I decided to do, I don't know if they fully have uploaded all the command cards for, everyone, but I went with Whipcord Launcher, and then I'd go with Din's This Is the Way. And then I went with Making His Way in the Galaxy instead of Flamethrower, because you can go after more people. It's up to range 1, blast, versatile, and impact 1. So, maybe there's a tank or some sort of support unit that is around a bunch of clones or droids or rebels. You're going to be able to do way more than just with his 2-pip. And although it is giving it to him, it's at the end of his activation. So he can move, and then perform this attack, or he can aim, move, and go with the attack. But he's, if he has Hunter, and then hopefully if he has anything else, cash, dodge with prepared supplies, you might not need to take any of those actions. And like I said, if you have Hunter, you have to just move, and maybe you're attacking someone that's got a wound. So you're going to gain that aim because you're doing an attack against them with the falling weapon. So there's that. And then for the 3 pips, I would obviously go with Whistling Birds. And then I'd go with Rule with Respect, because Boba Fett in 2 units, you'll be able to give Boba Fett and hopefully the shore troopers to get those aims, if I'm not mistaken. And then they can shoot, and Boba Fett, if he's in range 1 and in line of sight, he can add a black dice to the attack pool. So imagine if he's in the middle of the pikes and the shores. So maybe, you on the turn beforehand, you kind of moved him in a good spot behind line of sight, and then the other guys moved into range 1 of him. Then you give him Boba Fett the 3-pip, give the 2 orders to the shores, who maybe the mortars are around, and then the pike foot soldiers at range 1 to 4, when they shoot, they'll be able to add an extra black dice, giving them a red and 3 black at range 1 to 4, and giving the T21 trooper units 3 black, 2 white at range 1 to 4, critical 1. Yeah, I mean, that would be super fantastic. So there is that, and I'll save that and kind of put that down below. If I'm mistaken with, him being able to give out those orders to the shores, then obviously just let me know down below in the comments, so that way I am prepared to make sure I don't do that. And then, key positions, recover their supplies, hostage exchange, Zab. So I'd go with key positions for the most part because you can keep the mortars in the back. You've got super long range, so you can shoot hopefully everybody in the back. Recover the supplies. You do have 2 units that can move at speed 3 that can easily go and try to get something. Hostage exchange, you've got the mortar, in my opinion, which is really, really good to use because the big base, courage 3, 3 wounds, maybe not the best, but definitely good courage, definitely good kind of movement speed. And then sabotage, with the fact that you've got double bounty, I think sabotage is fine because usually it's going to end in a stalemate. So those bounties can come in real handy. Advanced positions, battle lines, long march, major offensive to get everybody in quicker. And then supply drop, fortified, clear conditions, and minefield is really all I could, kind of think of. And then for rebels, I tried to come up with something-ish for rebels. And it was, 9 activations. It's 5 Mando units because, I wanted as many Mandos as possible. So with the Rebel Officer, Vigilance, you got Den with, tenacity, situational awareness, same thing that I was using for the Empire. So this is kind of how I'm always going to set him up right now, unless I give him comms, which I did on the Empire as well. So I know I didn't quite explain every one of the upgrades that I gave for them, but for Boba Fett, I gave Hunter, situational awareness, comms, relay, and prepared supplies. You don't have to have prepared supplies on him, but you can if you wanted to. And then with Din, I also gave him situational awareness, tenacity, the flame projector, the jetpack, his Amban rifle, and comms relay, just in case, you needed to play one of his command cards and you wanted it to give to the shore troopers instead. You can, honestly, because of the way that I'd be playing those cards to specifically give to him at those times. So if you didn't want it, you can take out that comms relay. I'm just going to leave it empty in case you wanted to spend those 4 points on something else. And then you can load up the pike foot soldiers because, again, they roll light defense dice. They do get tons of dodges, possibly due to the pike capo, their independent dodge, and now independent surge for offense. So they're kind of set for the most part like this. But again, if you didn't want it and you wanted that medic, which I highly recommend to give to Boba Fett or Din, and since you're going to be able to, want to keep them close with rule with respect, Boba Fett being in contact with a medic or around the medic would be good. And then Din, again, being around a medic would also be pretty good. So I have, Din, all those things except for the comms. I have Sabine Sabine Wren with situational awareness, her combat shield, electrograppling line, because now you have 2 units that can dish out the immobilize tokens and suppression in melee, which is really good to stop any kind of force user from moving or heavy like Wookiees from being able to move. You've got Clan Wren in here to be supported with Sabine. I gave them the emergency transponder and situational awareness, and they've got retinue. So hopefully that's going to generate tons of tokens. I've got just 2 regular Mandalorian resistance units with the Beskar duelist, giving you, 4 minis in each one, surging to offense and defense, pretty lethal at range 2 and especially in melee. And then I just gave you the, rebel tax or the core tax with a medical droid to make sure that all of your Mandos stay alive. Now, if there was a way to be able to add extra points in for another medic, I'd probably go with 2 medics for this because of the fact that your Mandalorian resistance is going to kind of hopefully not dwindle fast, but could possibly dwindle fast. And then Din, Sabine, and Clan Wren can definitely go ham on one side, while the other Mandalorian resistance people can try to flank and do what they can on that side. I haven't done any of the command card stuff yet because I was going to kind of see about another list. So I honestly like Cassian so much because, again, he can, infiltrate. He's got danger sense 3. He can load out. So in case you need to swap anything immediately, he can be close or long range. He's got marksman, so he can dice fix and tactical 1. Now, I'm going to give him the sniper first. Is cumbersome, so you can't move. You'll just take your aim and whatnot. It is high velocity, Pierce 1 already, and is range 1 to infinity. So that would be awesome to have, maybe even with Hunter. And it would also be super nice to have with Din, because now Din can also shoot range 1 to infinity as well. So you're not limited in kind of, range for maybe the first round. Maybe the second round, you're probably not going to be using the Amban rifle, or maybe you are. And then with Cassian, maybe you recover if you had to, or if you had to get in close with Cassian, you can do what you can and then try to get Din in as fast as possible. I'm mostly just using Cassian to get that also K2, and Din is just going to do his normal thing. Again, I'm going with situational awareness and tenacity for the most part because, again, he's going to be getting into melee quite a bit. He's already got tactical 1, so you don't need offensive push. I mean, unless you want more aims, you can do hunter or offensive push, but for the most part, I'm going to see what I can do. He's going to gain a dodge when he's not getting an order. One of his command cards gives him a dodge, so I think situational awareness is going to protect him quite a bit. Then, honestly, go with if you honestly wanted, go with your pikes, and then maybe like a rebel trooper or 2. Maybe you go with the disruptor, give yourself 2, give yourself a commander, because that's not all interfering. And then now you got to have, nope, can't do that, because you got to have that other commander, and I can only do 2 commanders. So you got your rebel troopers, and then you kind of want some special forces. Maybe if you wanted rebel commandos, you can go with the pathfinders. That wouldn't be too bad. Just giving yourself kind of a gun line here. Give yourself maybe the DLT and get rid of 2 of those. Maybe give yourself a medical droid, and you've got plenty of room to be able to get some new swoop bikes if you wanted to, or the ATRTs. I know a lot of people aren't quite sure of the ATRT, but I really like it a lot. Maybe going 1 with the laser cannon. I mean, it's just armor, and then you've got plenty of extra stuff. Maybe give yourself an astromech, and for this, maybe give yourself the rebel trooper captain. Give yourself that situational awareness. You've still got 9-point bid. I mean, that's 10 activations with Din. That's just with Din and Cassian. Again, I like Cassian a lot and K2 a lot, especially with Incognito and what he can do. Din Djarin just kind of getting in as much as possible. Now, eventually, we will be able to go with, Boba Fett and find out what best, what the other gear slots that he's going to wind up getting are. And then with IG-11, we can make one soon with him. I think we have to know what the program upgrade card is going to have to be. So I haven't made anything with that yet. But yeah, again, maybe R2-D2 with Din and Rebels would be kind of fun with that secret mission and bounty. They wouldn't know necessarily what to do. But all right, guys, that's necessarily it. If you liked the video, go ahead, like and subscribe to the channel. Help this channel grow a lot as much as possible. Go ahead and head to the Discord channel if you want, and start just posting, any kind of lists that you have ideas about, or anything that you kind of want to talk about. It's just kind of up to you. And then head to theburnacademy.com and subscribe for 15 bucks a month to get, just a personal trainer in your pocket. And I will leave, I'll leave the Mando list and the Empire list that I had in the description below. So in case anybody did like it, you can just kind of go with this and, do what you'd like. But all right, guys, I'll catch you later. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And yeah, may the force be with you.